Welcome to Arkansas Basketball Recap, where we are going to recap the Arkansas Razorbacks 89-79 win over the Kentucky Wildcats at Rupp Arena for the John Calipari homecoming. In Kentucky, I know you think you should have won this game. I know you thought you were going to win this game. Probably should have won this game. But then you did something. See, God doesn't care about sports. See all these players out there and thank God, and that's all great. Thanking that, you can thank God for your athletic ability and all that sort of thing. But God doesn't care who wins until you're ungrateful. Until you have a banner in your arena that's a national championship banner, and then the guy that brought you that banner comes walking through the doors and you boo him, and then all of a sudden God gets interested. And the basketball God said, I can't have that. And now what's going to happen to you is Arkansas is going to make more threes than Kentucky. And I know it's an act of God because how else could it happen? How could you allow it to happen, Kentucky? How could you allow Arkansas to beat you at your own game? How could you let it happen? But you did let it happen because you booed him. That was it. You booed him. And then God's hand came down and said, that ball's going in. And Arkansas said, yep, we're going to shoot 52% from the 3-point line. We're going to go 13 to 25. We're going to shoot 55.2% for the game from the field. That's what we're going to do. We're going to turn the ball over 8 times, but we're going to turn you over 14 times. That's what happened to you. Now, that's mostly jest, but pride does come before the fall. And it was just, just don't tempt the basketball gods, man. Just don't tempt them. Like, that's the sort of thing that happened. Arkansas played great. Arkansas played the best game they played all year. Let me just go through some names here. DJ, dude, congratulations, dude. I know, like everyone gave you like hell in that game. They hated you more than they hated John Calipari, I think. They hated that John Calipari started you all last year instead of Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepard, and they couldn't stand it that he was so committed to you. And dude, you were a stud. And I know you didn't even score the first half, but you played under control. It wasn't too big for you. You didn't turn the ball over. Let's talk about DJ Wagner. He finishes with 17 points, 1 turnover, 8 assists, 3 rebounds. He was great. You didn't know that we were missing our, stud point guard. DJ was fantastic. Hey,
No, I would say he almost ended up being Thero got his as well, but in the second half, Wagner was, it seemed like if I was a Kentucky fan, I would have been exquisitely frustrated by our inability to stay in front of him.
well, they
It
kept
felt
saying
like
it
it,
over and over. He can get. DJ was like, "You don't have anyone that can stop me from getting to wherever I want to go."
yeah, it was just, they luckily they've got a big man down there that bothered a lot of those shots, but he was getting the first step on those guys. It was to that point where he could dribble two dribbles and he was already by the guy, and then
Yeah.
he would back it back out and then do it again. And but like he was just waiting to see if he could get the big man, drawn over or get in an advantageous position. But he was getting a step. But yeah, he was especially felt there in the second half, like it felt very frustrating for all those guards. Like they couldn't even really put good ball pressure on him.
Yeah.
And they could the other, like Nelly actually struggled a little bit. No, he played well in a lot of ways, but when he got out in front, he made like 3 or 4 not good decisions on
Hey,
like being out with the ball in front. But he was deferring and giving the ball to Wagner, and Wagner
yeah.
never really was making any mistakes.
Hey, listen. I was very happy for DJ. I was very happy for him. I thought DJ played great. Hey, and I'll take this Nelly all day.
Yeah.
Like you want to give me this? Nelly finishes the game with 18 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Dude, that's what I'm talking about, Nelly. Yeah, dude, like he was getting into his floater game into his pull-up game, knocking down
Well,
threes.
and I wasn't saying anything like that. He played great. He made, I would say, the most mistakes of anybody, but I mean, by that I mean he made three or four mistakes, but he still played great, and he was running his butt off.
Yes.
Like Wagner was doing a lot, and Thero, I don't know, that guy. I'm exhausted watching the way that guy was playing, but Nelly was in constant motion.
Yep.
So he actually had a hard job because he was running that backside just back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. He played great.
He'd run around about five screens, catch the ball. If nothing was there, he'd throw it back to Wagner, go back around, fight over a bunch of screens, catch it on the other side. You
Yeah,
know,
I thought he played great. I like maybe he's turned a corner. Maybe everything's feeling good for him. Like I like that we're giving him. He took 14 shots, made half of them. That's fine. You go 7-14 every game, dude. Like, that's fine with me. Um, yeah, I like that, and that's two games in a row since no Boogie that they've known that they like Nelly got to shoot the ball some, and I like it. They're intentionally getting him. They're running plays for him a couple times and stuff, which I like. I'm just going through the starting lineup here. Thero, dude, you go five. Thero took 10, finishes with 21 points. He only took 10 shots. He was 5 of 10, but went 10 of 12 from the free throw line. They didn't have anyone to guard him when he put his head down. He had one finish that was redonkulous. Like,
it was reminiscent of the Michael Jordan hang in
yeah,
the air shot.
just ridiculous. Like just finishing with your left hand under the like just ridiculous. He finishes with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals. Like he was out of his mind good. And like there was some other plays that just don't show up in the stat sheet where he's just tipping stuff and running after stuff, getting physical. He was
Well, that's
great.
why, like, because there's a kind of and not to take it like what Nelly was doing was difficult because but it's like you can train your body to get cardiovascularly in shape enough to do that constant Steph Curry just run because it's basically at the in the long run with the exception of fighting over a bunch of screens it's fast jog cardio and you can
Mhm.
get in a position where you can do that for hours. The way Thero with that explosive like attack, fight somebody off, jump, rebound, tip it, jump again, jump three times, dive on the floor, get up, ball starts to go the other way, steal, comes back, gets thrown the ball, running on offense. It's like that kind of like shock, explosive stuff. You've only got so much of that energy in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like there's a
yeah,
place where then you have to stop and catch your breath and recover. And there were times where I was like, oh my God, like he has had 15 different explosive plays without a rest. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. I mean, because these guys had to play huge minutes. Uh, dude, Big Z. Bro, I was at Jake's daughter's basketball game this morning, and he was saying, you know, only way we can win this game, and I think he said, you need Big Z. If Big Z can hit 4 threes, Big Z said, done and done. Let me hit 4 threes. He does. He finishes with 14 points. Look, man, I know you struggled to guard Amari Williams, but not because you weren't trying, but just because this dude is humongous and bigger than you, and it's length on strength, and it's hard to win those battles. But you were trying, and I just liked how, dude, he looked like he was having so much fun. Like even the one he took 1 3 that was like really ill advised that he airballed or whatever, but I didn't even blame him because the other one that he hit right before that was just such a dag. Like that's when you kind of were like, oh my God, we're gonna win this. When he hit that shot, you're like, we're gonna win this game.
Well, let's talk about that because Dan and I were together at my daughter's like little basketball jamboree this morning, and we had a brief 5-minute conversation about this game. And honestly, I can't believe the way it played out. I mean, this is annoying because nobody else was there, but we got to say, like, we said that we're like, man, I mean, there's not really probably not going to win. It's probably going to be ugly. And this is going to be really like you're going to see this Bud Walton's going to be empty. It's going to fall off because this was the last kind of moment to maybe do something good. And you're going to be humiliated. The final insult to the season. You're going to really see it fall off and be hard to watch the games and stuff. And I was like, but if we could, what they got to do, they just have to be like have a lead, any lead, a 1 point or 3 point lead. I mean, this is verbatim what we said, like at halftime, just so the crowd is really nervous. Just so you punched them in the mouth. However, you have to endure that initial run that they're going to go on. If you can just dirty it up and be ahead by one or three or two at the half, then go on some of these little 6 point runs and get a lead of 10, 11, 12 points in the final 10 minutes and really get them nervous where they start to really grip on those shots. And then, furthermore, we even said, we're like, we just got to hope that everyone's going to have to participate. Wagner's going to have to do what he did in the Michigan game and pull up on some of those threes that because he's sometimes too hesitant to shoot those. Obviously, we got to get something out of Nelly. And then we both said, I was like, and I think I mean, as hard as it's going to be, because Thero's probably, I mean, because Adu's probably a better defender in the post. I think they got to lean on Big Z, and we were like, because you're going to have to pray. He has more upside. He has down a little bit of downside on defense, but he has more upside than Adu, at least so far this season. He could go off and hit a couple of threes for you that could help you stay in the game. Adu's not going to do that. Adu hasn't even really proven that he can be much of a threat down low. And Big Z plays okay down there. And we were like, and I think you just need to put Big Z in the post and not play off the threes and live with them scoring twos. We said
Yeah,
that's exactly
yeah.
what we said. And as this game was unfolding, I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like we made this in a dream. Like this is the dream scenario.
Let me say this too. Our 3-point defense the second half was much better. Like, and it was that we were like, we're not doubling that post. Like, and you could tell the cow was just like,
And
we're
I
not
thought that
doing
was the
it.
right thing to do.
Yeah,
I mean, we all know it. The 3 pointer gets people's juiced, especially when you're a 3 point shooting. There's a difference between when Steph Curry starts to get hot, starts to slam those in. Like
yeah,
people know what's coming. They feel the wave building. And Kentucky is one of those teams where they want to shoot the three. And when they start to go in, the crowd gets into it and it juices them up. And it wasn't the same effect. I mean, they got juiced when they would get a dunk down low or when he would just make a little, but dude, I'm sorry. Big guy backing someone down and making a defended, tough
yeah,
little, over the shoulder glass hook shot just doesn't pump them up in the same way that the three ball does.
yep,
And I was perfectly fine with, especially once we'd already established a little bit of a lead with them doing that. Like make him, if they're going to take up 20 seconds of the clock every time and back him in and make it hard for him to get the ball and then set up a few things and then he backs in and 23 seconds gone and he makes a tough guarded two over a 7 foot guy. It's like that's better than I'd stay home on
yeah,
those threes. And I was glad they did. I mean, if I was a Kentucky fan, I would have been beside myself that they didn't go to him more. Because the one thing you can't do is you can't go to him every once in a while and he scores basically or gets fouled every time if they post him upright, which they were capable of doing, and then shoot bad threes that you don't make.
yeah, yeah,
You either have
yeah,
to pound it to him and make him foul all those big guys out and just get that momentum going, or make us double him. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't do like a little of each one. And they missed a couple. There was one three. I don't know if you noticed it. He was, I mean, it wasn't even, it was just, he was wide open. He was just going to grab it, turn around and dunk it. And instead they shot like a guarded three
yeah,
that they missed. And it was like,
yeah, yeah. And look, man, like you could be like, man, Big Z got kind of like abused down there a little bit. That's going to happen with a player like that. But you have to understand that they were obviously conceding that. And by the way, Big Z like didn't just say, I'm just going to let you do it. I mean, he was walling up and like taking it in the chest, and that's exhausting. Just having a guy like that bang into you and bang into you. And but Z made him
and
pay.
just,
But Z made him
it's
pay on
just
the other
not what they
end.
want. It's also just not what they want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I like making a team do something other than what they want to do.
Yeah. And
You know
so
what I
I
mean?
thought, I
Sometimes
thought,
it
I
doesn't mean you
thought,
can't lose that way, but it just means they're not
yeah,
comfortable.
yeah. And so I thought playing Big Z as many minutes as they did was the right thing, and I thought he played great. And he just brought energy. Like he was like rubbing guys' heads and like and he was into it. And so I like the way he played. Knox finishes with 10 points. Um, but let me tell you, I like Carter Knox the last 3 games. I think he's not like a complete player yet. Like he's not all the way there, but Knox, stick around. Come back next year, dude. Because I like the way he's playing. He's doing a lot of little things, man, that are really good. He's just diving in there. He's going after rebounds. I like the way he's playing. So I thought Knox played well. Um, you know, Adu didn't do much. It wasn't Brazil's best game. He did hit a huge three, um, but but he was fine. I thought Billy Richmond
It was
gave us
it
good
was bad
minutes.
matchups for Brazil. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? That he couldn't guard the big guy. I mean, he was even not going to even do as good as. I mean, basically, it was like Big Z, but a little shorter
yeah,
as far as like body type goes. But and then everybody else was a little too fast.
yeah, yeah,
And I thought he tried hard, and I actually thought Adu played fine. I
yeah,
thought he was like exactly what we said. We were like, you got to play Adu 10 to 13 minutes to rest the other big guys, and then you got to play Big Z, 30 minutes.
yeah,
And that's, I think that's pretty much what they did.
yeah.
Um, Dude, there were so many moments in this game that
I,
where, and everybody had one, like you said, that dude, that three, they were coming back. Like
yep.
the crowd was back into it. That three that Brazil hit in the corner was huge. Billy Richmond
That's
didn't really end
blowing
up
up that
playing.
dude, blowing up that handoff, taking that dunk was ridiculous.
Well, it was that was one of those times I'm like, dude, that effort, like he got the tip. It looked like it might like it was kind of like one of those soccer kicks that spins back around and doesn't like you think it's gonna go foul or whatever, and it doesn't. But it felt like for a second those guys thought the ball was gonna veer out of bounds, but instead it stayed in bounds. And then he got fouled trying to go by that guy. That guy
Yeah,
grabbed him
yeah,
and then still managed to power through. And then I was like, oh, he got the ball. Oh, he's taking the ball. Oh, he's dunking the ball. Like the whole thing was like, oh my
yeah,
God. And I can't remember exactly what that was, but that was um, part of our crawl back instead of just took the energy out of the
yeah.
game. The most impressive thing I think in the whole game was the first 10 minutes. And it
Hmm.
wasn't the prettiest part, although, obviously the first
Dude, because
3 minutes,
just
everybody was shooting hot.
hanging
But,
in there in a shootout, dude, like that was huge.
well, like the initial, like I said, 2 or 3 minutes, both teams back and forth. It was like crazy shooting. And it was, I mean, dude, like that was important to get those couple of shots to go down. And then when they got ahead by, what was their biggest lead? I mean, they were up by 8 at one point,
Seven
maybe
or eight, seven or
7
eight,
or 8.
maybe. Yeah.
And it started to feel like here we go. It's gonna be 12 by half and 20 by the end of the game. You know what I mean? And their ability to fight back at that like 9 to 10 minute mark and then take the lead and then just kind of keep a slight lead. It went back and forth a little bit, but there were multiple huge plays where, like you said, Big Z hit a couple of shots. I mean, Thero had a couple of big rebound plays that just kept us in it. Um, and I mean, if you're a Kentucky fan, one of the biggest things is they did not make us pay. We fouled them a lot, and they did not make us pay from the free throw line. They did us a bunch of favors there.
Yeah. Look at the free throw numbers. Kentucky is 9 of 18, so they shoot 50% from the free throw line. You don't want to do that. Um, Arkansas was
No,
12
you
of
know how different
16,
that
shot
game looks?
75%. Yeah.
If they shoot the same as us, I mean, they're at the end with when there's a minute to go and they're
Yeah.
shooting foul, they're shooting that technical shot. It would have been like a 4 point game
Yeah.
if they just make 75% of their free throws.
I mean, and also like, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to say that I mean, the refereeing was fine or whatever. I mean, to overcome also like we're like, hey, if you told me, by the way, you're gonna get like a flagrant one where they're gonna get two shots in the ball, you're gonna get teed up, they're gonna get two shots in the ball. I'm like, dude, that's the stuff you can't have happen. And
How many
so,
and ones? I mean, we probably had
yeah,
4 and 1s on them,
yeah,
and one of them was a 3 pointer
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Did we have two of those three again? I think we had two of those again.
yeah. By the way, I have a feeling that Billy Richmond is that guy that uh if you're gonna like start jawing with like one of his teammates, he is probably the guy that's gonna like, and he'll be the guy that ends up with the technical, even if he's not involved.
Hmm.
Which by the way, I don't even mind that much. I mean, I would mind it in a super close game. At that point, I didn't mind where Nelly and Williams are jawing back and forth. Of course, I mean, I will say, Nelly, you can go to a bench a different way than that. Like it's just
Nope, that's it. I only go through. I can't go around, can't go behind. I only go through.
that's apparently how it is. But dude, what I mean, also like, dude, what is Calipari doing right now? I mean, I don't like. Are you like cracking open the oldest bottle of whatever you have on stash?
Well, yeah, everybody who does, has a podcast like this, or even if you're just a noticeable Hogs fan on that's at all active on the internet, which I'm not even, I mean, I don't even have Instagram or anything, but I know even just from this YouTube, like you got to be, I mean, there's the potential to get into it with Kentucky fans and just to keep, we've been hearing it forever. And it's like, even if we don't win another game, at least that will be quieted for the most part because what can they say? Like even if they make the tournament and make the Sweet 16 and we don't win any, this is a anomaly and it's not like a jumping off point. It's just we're still bad and for the rest of the games you still got scoreboard. You still well yeah well okay we suck. How come we came into your house and beat your ass then? You know what I mean? Like and I'm just saying it just will quiet that. And if you're
What's even
Calipari,
what's even better
it's
too?
times 100.
Yeah, dude, and what's even good too is they'd be like, well, we didn't have our point guard, neither did we.
Yeah.
Like, so, that because if Butler was out and it was we had our you're like, well, it would have been different if we had our starting point guard. You're like, we both like don't have point guards, and I don't know, guys. Uh, yeah, dude. Wait, I mean, the start was like so important for by the way, and like, good job, guys, because like that's tough, dude. I mean, you want to talk about just a crazy thing to step into. I mean, I would have been bricking that thing off like that. That's a lot, right?
Oh, dude, that first because Kentucky's fans, I mean, obviously because they were in the game, but I mean, dude, it was cacophonous for the entire first half. They definitely, I mean, they got a little bit of wind taken out of their sails at times in the last 5 minutes there when we started to build a 4 or 5 point lead. But then, like I said, it was what was it? It was one at halftime, and they were loud for the first 4 or 5 minutes. But then once we kind of got that 6, 7 point lead in the second half, they got I mean, they tried a few times. Like I said, there was that one time when I think
Yeah,
they got it down to like 4 or 5, and then Brazil came back and hit that. But that helped a lot in the second half. That fact that they couldn't get over the nerves. And I mean, Kentucky just didn't give them very much pop. They didn't
yeah,
have, and part of it was our defense. I mean, they didn't get good looks in I mean, and they made one or two tough ones, but they just didn't even get to take that many in the second half.
well, dude, it's so weird. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Kentucky's got some like great wins. I mean, they beat some like really good teams, beating Duke, beating Gonzaga, beat Tennessee. Um, but I gotta say, like, you guys, I know you guys are good, and you guys are like, hey, we didn't shoot the ball well tonight or whatever, and that's all fine. Um, but if I was a Kentucky fan, I would be like, this defense needs to get figured out because you guys do struggle to stay in front of the ball.
Well, yeah, because I think we did shoot well and we hit some
Yeah,
like this game, this was there's a if you play this game 10 times, this was the third best scenario for us. There's two more where we like somehow blow them out and they play even worse or something. But I would say the other six we probably lose. There's not that many ways Arkansas could have won this game, and everything kind of worked out. I mean, it's hard to say perfectly because Kentucky played really well in the first half of this game, especially the first 10 minutes, and they played like they usually play. But our defense was I mean, we talked about this before. Like, what was going to happen in this game? We know Kentucky plays mediocre to bad defense. We play mediocre to bad offense. We play m- slightly above average to at times pretty good defense, and
hmm
Kentucky plays well above average to great offense. And it seemed like with those things coming together, like probably you're going to lose because they have a great offense and you have an okay defense, and you have a bad offense and they have a bad defense. So it feels like the bad offense and bad defense will nullify each other. But what ended up happening is our offense isn't as bad when you're getting really good looks, and Kentucky does give you really good looks. So, I mean, part of it was I think our guys got some confidence and got hot and hit some big shots,
Well, that
but
happens
they
when you get good
also
looks and they
did.
go down. Like
But that's
that,
what I'm saying.
it
Like
builds.
the the subtle difference between, like I said, the closeout, the difference between 6 inches of a close, like, is the difference between you getting nervous and pushing it off the heel of the rim, or being like, okay, I know I've got enough room here, and just shooting with confidence. And Kentucky gives you that little bit of room. And by that, I don't mean intentionally, but like you can, they take bad angles. They don't move their feet properly. They don't keep their hips squared. And you end up, if you pass the ball around enough, and you don't get impatient, they're going to give you a good look.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
not
mean,
every time, but a lot, enough.
were you encouraged at all about like how we
And by
uh
the way, and I was going to say, so I think our offense actually ended up overcoming their defense, but also our defense this was one of our better defensive performances as well, especially in the second half. I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to almost, I was so nervous. I need to go back. I'm going to go back and watch the game again. I can't even remember exactly. But they just weren't getting any looks. It's like our guys, they were
no,
just
no,
trying, but our guys were just staying in front of them.
we sold out on the three, dude. Like
Well,
and
our switches were good, and we were fighting through a
went
lot of those screens.
went over all the screens. Our 3-point defense in the second half was very good, and I was encouraged that Cal made that adjustment. That like that's what we're doing, and if they beat us up inside, then that it was the right thing to do. Um, look, forget like postseason or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Like I also like it. These guys look like they cared about this game. That's for sure. And there is something there. Like that's a big win for you. It was the game that you had circled on your schedule. You won it. Maybe you can turn that into a little bit of something. Just it makes it to where maybe you like you know get your grip on the rope. You kind of jostle that thing, be like, all right, I was sort of feeling like this. I was going to let go of this thing, but now I'm not. And, go out there and play for something, man. Like, like I don't, we're probably not making the tournament. That seems like, I mean, I think we have like a 4% chance of making the tournament or something. But so forget that. Channel it into the next game, though. Like, this is the sort of thing that maybe you can start to, to play better and figure some stuff out. And
Well,
that
it
would be great.
definitely. I mean, dude, it makes you really wish you'd won that. If you'd have won that Oklahoma game, good Lord,
Yeah,
you
you feel like you were really you were on a little bit of a run here.
well, I mean, yeah, 3 wins. I mean, even though you'd still be 3-6, but you're like, hey, 3 wins to 500. 500 gets you in the tournament in
Yeah,
the SEC. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
um, and but yeah, that being said, yeah, it makes it where the difference between losing this game. I mean, I kind of when Buffalo lost in the NFL last week, I didn't realize this. I mean, I don't really care about Buffalo, but one of my best friends is from Buffalo, and he's a huge Buffalo fan, and so I kind of root for them. Plus, they're the underdog or whatever. But when they lost, I was like, and I know a lot of people around here are probably Kansas City fans, which I'm not. So therefore, I'm just annoyed by Kansas City's success person. But kind of made me realize, oh man, if Arkansas loses to Kentucky, like the season is, I mean, it's just over and boring. I'm like, I have nothing to look forward to. Like, at least I was hoping to watch the Bills in the Super Bowl. Like, sports are over. I'm waiting till like next fall. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, I mean, baseball will
You're
be
just gonna be
coming, but
fully invested in the local high school basketball team.
this makes it where, I mean, you know, I don't have a ton of hope. Probably is more of an anomaly type of game, but it's something to build on. And you know, it makes it where the next game is watchable and interesting. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
dude.
And you just see, and it is nice to be the spoiler. I mean,
Yeah.
if you when
Yeah.
you're this far down, it's fun to drag anybody with you in it. I mean, like Kentucky is now we made them 500. They're 4-4, is that right
Yeah,
now?
I think so. Yeah,
And so what that means is if Kentucky just loses their next two games and we win our next two games, we got the same record in conference.
there you go. By the way, it's a good week for me. You know, my daughter's basketball team is ranked fifth in the state in their classification. It's great, undefeated in conference, 10-0. I didn't think you could have that and a Kentucky win, but hey, it's a good week, man. It's a good week to
Mhm.
have all those things. Now, uh, before we sign off here, do you have a player of the game? Dude,
Man, that's
I gotta give it to DJ Wagner. I got it, dude, for that second half. Like I just
I know it's hard because Theoro plays so well and so good, but yeah, Wagner did dominate the ball. So,
the eight assists, just not turning it over.
and the clip at which he was productive in the second half. I mean, what did he end up with? You say 17 points
Yeah, all in the second
in
half.
in a half.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a pretty good half.
yeah, yeah. So, and by the way, you know he wanted to come out there and play well, and he goes to the locker room at halftime with 0 points. That's that can spiral. You could just have a bad game doing that, but he didn't. He came out and he was what it was is that he looked like he was in complete control the second half. Like he was never rattled. Like he was
Dude, it looked like the opposite of what, I mean, I mean, I hope they can build on this, but we were running plays like they were had good motion, and Kentucky was the ones that looked like on offense like the ball was never exactly where they wanted it to be. Like
yeah.
the ball was getting pushed into places that were just relief outlets, but not like where they were trying to get it.
Did
You
you
know what I mean?
think so you come out of this in the second half and the first thing we do is we run a play where you get that up screen and that blind that's basically a blindside screen and they throw that oop to Thero and I'm
Hmm.
like, see y'all in trouble right now. Like that, like okay, like we're like calling plays that are working. That's you're just it's on now. That was good
Dude,
stuff, man.
it just makes you not understand how why is the offense so bad so much of the other times? I
Well,
mean, I
that's the
know
other,
part of it is those other teams fight harder through those screens and like
yeah,
nothing works because they're playing harder. But I mean, no offense to Kentucky fans, but those guys just don't. I mean, and because like we talked about this with Arkansas, like they thought they were playing hard in the first five SEC games. Well, they weren't. They were playing at 90%. And like that last 10% is hard to wring out, but it is the difference because
mm.
other guys are doing that. And it's
Who,
the difference between winning and losing is
who
and getting the rebound.
would
And
you
you
like
know,
if you had to say like who played harder this game?
we did for sure.
Arkansas played harder, right?
Hmm.
And like you can do all the shot making and the free throws and turnovers and they won all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, like I think that's the whole thing. Is like Arkansas played harder. Like I
I
they
think
wanted it more.
personally, I think Arkansas has won every game where they've played harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is to say, I don't think that they now the Oklahoma game was the one that was the closest, and I think that's why it was the closest. Like that game did come down to basically just a bounce here or there,
It
and
came down to fouling two 3-point shooters is what it came down
it
to.
did. Like it felt like those performances from those teams were very even, but when we play it harder, I mean, you don't always win when you play harder because sometimes guys just knock down shots, but I mean, most of the time, if you sacrifice more than the other guys, you win,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless they're just way more talented than you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and dude, and here's the thing, even though like Calipari's been, maybe everyone's a little frustrated and you feel like, this isn't what we signed up for and stuff. Uh, man, I still wanted him to win this game, dude.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you gotta be happy for him to win this game. I mean, it's you think this has been like the last month has not been fun for him and it's good for him. And hey, he didn't come out in bright red, but I was gonna lose
Yeah,
my
I
mind if he came out in that. Like I've seen that blue sport coat, dude, and I was gonna lose my mind if you came out there in that.
well, I wore this maroon shirt in honor of his maroon jacket
There you
tonight.
go. There you go. I
So
mean, so that was good. I like that you at least didn't do that. That would have been horrible.
yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm gonna have to go watch it again. The other thing that was, I mean, leading up to this game, because I wasn't sure as an Arkansas fan, you're not sure how. I mean, you feel just completely embarrassed and humiliated by the season. But you're like, does anybody else really have interest in this game? It's like it's going to be a wipeout, and like we suck and they don't. So, but dude, leading all day yesterday and today, like I'm just like non-stop advertisements for it, and like they are really hyping it up. This in the Duke game, and I'm like, good Lord, like they are pushing this as a prime time
I
thing. They're
wa-
making sure everybody
dude,
knows.
I watched the Duke North Carolina game before this. Did you?
I know. I watched part of it, and then
I
I saw the highlights at halftime.
okay, so I watched it and I thought, man, ESPN just probably booked two dud blockbuster games because Duke went out there
They
and
look, yeah, they
just
would have looked awesome preseason.
dude, they just slapped North Carolina like that. And I was like, dude, is this a preview of what I'm like? Are they about to have back-to-back games where they're just like, geez, dude, what a dud of a freaking schedule this weekend? So I'm glad ESPN got something to talk about because like that North Carolina and Duke, and I realized like that's the. I mean, every year North Carolina Duke's like that's it. And dang, North Carolina, you guys got work to do because you guys got slaughtered, man. Uh, but what was weird about that game? I know this is a total aside, but I never seen a game like two like major you have two blue bloods playing each other, and one team is like, yo, how come your whole like how come this team is so much bigger than you? Like North Carolina is like they're like, yeah,
They
they
went
said
with all fast players.
the average height of the North Carolina starting five is 6'4". That's
Yeah, they
shorter
got
than
real.
that's shorter than me. Like I was like, what do you got? What is that? And then the average height of Duke is like 6'9" or something like that. You're like, dude, this is not good.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's because Duke has the hybrid freaks. They don't have any of like the even Tennessee has some, at least a short point guard or whatever. But like Duke went with the hybrids.
Yeah, dude. It was like, yeah, I just don't. You have no chance in this game. I mean, they just and by the way, North Carolina was trying to rebound, but you're just like, dude, there's some things that you just can't overcome. Where you're like, what? Like, yeah, what are you supposed to do, man? You guys are getting just out. You don't have the same type of person on this team as that team does.
Yeah, I mean it's starting to get discouraging for because one thing about this year is, I mean, it does feel like there's only like even though everybody's so good, it feels like there's a couple of teams that are different.
Like
That
Auburn.
I mean, like Duke and Auburn, where it's like, are they gonna can they just play each other now and we'll all play for second? Because I mean, they're just on a tear right now. They're
Yeah,
playing at a different level. Um,
yeah.
what did they end up with? Was the score of this one? Did Kentucky end up with 75 points?
Uh, let's see here. No, 79. 89, 79.
Okay. I think they said that they averaged 895 at home. I think
I
at
don't
some
know.
place in the game.
Maybe. I just know this, dude. If there was ever an indictment of the Kentucky defense, it was giving up 89 points to Arkansas.
Hmm.
I mean, you
But
can
I mean,
almost get
like I said, if that's right, I think they said it at one point. But if that's true, I mean, that shows that that defense was pretty good.
no, it was. I think for sure. I think they're did they say what were they? Was it third in the country in scoring? Something like that. And their average home or away is like it's in the 80s, so
Yeah, no, that's what they said. They said they were averaging, I think they said 85, and maybe it wasn't 95, but it was in the 90s at home. Maybe it was 92
yeah.
or 93. But and the thing is, I mean, you know that it was good defense too, because it wasn't like sometimes you can hold a team down by just not giving them that many opportunities by killing them on the boards. But that
Yeah.
actually is the place that we didn't kill them. I mean, we tried really hard and we had a lot of a good effort, but they just gobbled up those rebounds on us. We were doing a lot of,
We
you
got
know,
let's see, we got out rebounded uh 30 to 33. So it was close. Yeah. It actually felt as I read that, it felt worse than that, to be
I know
honest.
I would have thought it was more like by 8 or
Yeah. So
10.
yeah. So and and considering the way that here's the thing, when you're selling out on the three, it does make rebounding more difficult because you don't have guys down there. You're not sending guys down there, and Kentucky wants to spread you out, and so as you're getting spread out, it's going to make rebounding hard. But that considering that, I'll take 33 to 30. Honestly, if that's your defensive strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
A
it's
big thing
also
too. A big thing too is the turnovers, dude. Doubling them up in turnovers. The fact that they turned the ball over twice as many times as we did. And by the way, that's one thing that Arkansas has been good about this entire year, is that Arkansas doesn't turn the ball over that much.
yeah, and we didn't even take advantage of all the I mean, I guess if you're Kentucky, you're kicking yourself about the free throws, but if you're Arkansas, we left some points on the board where we had a couple of times where I was like, "Oh, that could have been such a momentum
Hmm.
helper," and we just like, it
Yeah,
wasn't because of great defense, it's just like we didn't make the right decision on a fast break and got
yeah,
sloppy with it.
yeah.
Um anyway, we're just rambling. Sorry guys, that was fun. I'm gonna go back up there and watch it again.
There you go. All right, we'll leave it there. We'll be back. Hey, maybe the Hogs can do a little something with this. Uh, I know
I'm
this.
gonna go watch all the other. I'm gonna go about to go watch all the other podcasts now.
That's about to say you're not gonna watch the game. You're about to.
All the well, I'm gonna watch those while I watch it,
There you go.
but
There you go.
I got to go watch everybody else talk about it.
There you go. All right, bro.
All
Well,
right,
I'll see you, after the next game.
woo pig.
Woo pig, baby. Bye.